afternoon, partners, parents, students, and friends. My name is Dr. Tafona Ervin, and I couldn't be more humble than I am today to have had you all join us for our community's first ever learning conference. A conference for which we hope has left you with a feeling of ownership and accountability in helping every child achieve success from cradle to college and career. Before I close out this afternoon's session, I'd like to share in a few moments of gratitude, starting first with a deep appreciation to our sponsors for making this event possible. Thank you to our presenting sponsors, Multicare and Comcast. Thank you to our principal sponsors, Tacoma Public Utilities, Boeing, and State Farm. Thank you to our champion sponsors, Rainier Connect and Wells Fargo. Thank you also to our advocate sponsors, Child Care Resources, Corismo Construction, Puget Sound Energy, University of Washington, Tacoma, and the Greater Tacoma Community Foundation. Finally, thank you to our friend sponsors, Bates Technical College, United Way of Pierce County, and Perkins Coie Law Firm. Each of you has contributed to something much greater than a single program or strategy. You've made an investment into a movement that consists of more than 350 partners, all who have expressed solidarity and commitment to realizing a Tacoma where every child succeeds in school, career, and life. And for that, I am so thankful for you. Additionally, I'd like to thank my board of directors, a wise and brilliant bunch of community volunteers, expert leaders, and everyday people just like you and me, for their support of my leadership and the direction for the Foundation for Tacoma Students. This conference is just the beginning of what's to come, and I'm grateful for your trust in me to lead our organization towards realizing its vision and its mission. Finally, I must take a moment to thank each of my team members for their relentless efforts in building and strengthening the Graduate Tacoma movement. Thank you to my Deputy Director, Ervin. Special thanks to Director April Shine, William Towie, and Devin Rydell Kelly. Many thanks to Project Manager Ben Mitchell, Data Analyst Sarah Detweiler, and Digital Communications Manager Shema Shamdeen. Thank you also to my Executive Assistant Emmeline Call and Finance Manager Lee Butler. A heartfelt thank you to the best network managers out there, Chanel Hall, Rosie Ayala, Leandra Shelton, and Wendy Holcomb. And finally, a thanks that has no ending to the greatest communications director of all times and the one that has really made this conference happen, Director Cecilia Garza. You have been an incredible talent to this organization, and I know I speak for our entire team when I say we will miss you deeply. Way to go out with a bang. Now let's get to business. The Charting Our Future is a look at race, justice, and the education system, and it aims to take the work of a community-wide movement of youth advocates to the next level. As with all Graduate Tacoma events, we sought to build on our ability to connect across professions, lived experiences, and a shared vision for Tacoma's youth and young adults. At the Foundation for Tacoma Students, we feel strongly that our future depends on the actions we take together and now, and that we must all be full of a genuine desire to disrupt unjust inequities that continue to marginalize communities. We believe that while intentions are well and good, actions are what is needed. And through such actions, we can honestly advance our community to a place where every child truly achieves success. In June of 2020, I wrote an open letter to our community, pleading for the operationalizing of equity and upholding the practices of anti-racism. And quite honestly, progress in this community has been made. Statements have been declared. Curiosities of and consulting contracts for racial equity have spiked. And partners of the Graduate Tacoma movement are dialoguing about common definitions for racial equity that can be agreed upon for our community as we move into the future of our work. By all accounts, and at an aggregate level, Tacoma is moving toward the direction of a more just and equitable society. But what we must understand, and therefore what we hope you have heard throughout this week's conference, is that we are all still just victims to an institutional and systemic unjust reality that has inherently been perpetuated over the course of its existence. Inequities that impact our children, youth, and young adults. We function in a system that was established well before our occupancy of our current roles and positions. And we uphold these systems through our roles and our positions. And with every passing of a baton that we take on, we assume the perpetual systemic practices that bear negative outcomes for the populations that we seek to support. And guess what? Many of us don't even realize it. We don't realize that we are nurturing the exact inequities that we seek to disrupt. Because as an individual, many of us believe that we can contribute to the change that we seek in our communities. And while that's true, let me help you see in an example or two just how we implicitly do these things and don't even realize it. Say you become a foster care caseworker. Foster youth are wards of the state, and you have unknowingly placed a young person in a perceived good home that in fact was an abusive home. However, if they run away, they are considered defiant and their actions are punishable by law, making them to be perceived as the villain in a twisted film when the reality of their life was that they had no control over the family for which they were placed with. And they feared for their life due to the placement that you made, believing this home was a good alternative to the shelter for which this young person just came from. But remember, the system has made it clear that runaway foster youth are criminals. And now these children are being labeled as criminals in the eyes of the law, a label that will follow them whether they like it or not. You tell me, where's the justice in that? Or take for another example, the deadly force that I'm fairly confident we've all bared witness to over the last year of how law enforcement handles Black men leaving their neighborhood corner store when in their custody, as compared to white male shooters who were delicately handled when taken into the same law enforcement custody. I'm sorry, where's the justice in that again? And what role are we all playing in upholding these injustices? Now, let me be clear. The intent of this conference was not to address and change the way in which our foster care system operates, nor how our criminal justice system functions. Yet, it was our intent to ensure that our participants, each one of you, understands the ecosystem of all parts that connect to education and the impacts that it has on children, youth, and young adults, and how they show up in these systems, how they're treated in these systems, and how they matriculate through these systems. What you do and how you use yourself as an agent of change for a more equitable Tacoma is our hope for the ongoing work that will lead us into the next decade. This leads me to the goal-setting process for 2030. The Graduate Tacoma movement has been on a mission since 2012 to help every child achieve success from cradle to college and career. Beginning with just over 100 community partners, the movement has evolved and now comprises more than 350 partners. Let me take pause and thank and acknowledge your unwavering support and belief in the young people of our community. You are all the heartbeat of the most amazing community-wide movement out there, offering different services in different geographic regions and serving different populations of our community. You all are contributing to the disruption of systemic inequities. You're removing barriers, and your students are realizing their full potential because of the work you do every day in this community. That is what we mean when we talk about using self in a system aiding for change. In fact, I'd like to take a moment to hear directly from a few of our partners and see how they perceive the Graduate Tacoma movement in helping our community realize a place where every child succeeds in school, in career, and in life.
A successful Tacoma means that every day when someone wakes up in this city, the place they choose to call home, that they have every opportunity to fulfill their destiny.
Anyone who needs housing would have it. Anyone who needs childcare would have access to affordable childcare. Food, medicine, transportation, all of their needs would be met. I would ideally work myself out of a job. My role wouldn't be needed anymore if we worked through equity to get to equality so that one day the system works for students and doesn't leave anyone out.
We already know data around our brown and black youth, brown and black communities having the worst outcome in all of those sectors. So if we're going to chart our future, we better be on the same page, all of us in all those sectors, around how we will operate as non-racist organizations, how we will pivot and move and shift when it comes to addressing that hemorrhage. If we do not address the hemorrhage of racism, we will bleed out.
I want to create opportunities for all children to have academic success a lot differently than what it looked like for me when I was younger.
Kids aren't just our future, they're our present. And if we're building a future for them, they should be a part of shaping what it looks like.
What students want really depends on who they are and what they experienced. Like, you want to inspire and be proud of who you are and what you become over time due to like the support you've gotten from your family and your community. My hope is to give back to my community and support them how they supported me.
The decisions we make today are going to affect and create ripples for the generations that will come beyond us. When I think about our future, I just think about reminding people today of the importance of their now, that really our future is in our hands today.
This conference in and of itself is like a group of people who care coming together to better that future.
My hope is to just continue to see the way that our community comes together, our partners come together to just build and create this beautiful space rooted in transformational leadership and all of the possibilities that we can really have to transform from child welfare and crisis to family well-being and uplifting each other.
These students are eventually going to be my neighbors. I'm going to be the ones determining what kind of policies get set when I get older. And I want to have good neighbors. I want to be a good one too.
I want to be there. I want to be a part of the change. It's not for other people to do. It's for me to do. It's for all of us to do.
With all of the people around this movement, we have a lot of hope for what our future in Tacoma can be together.
Being Pacific Islander, being Pacifica, knowing my ancestors were wayfinders, were navigators, charted a lot of paths, right, that were not created before they did them. It gives me such hope, gives me such renewal and energy to call on that ancestral energy to be like, you've done this before, I'm here to continue that work.
Tacoma is the city of destiny, and I think about a community of individuals that walk in the destiny that's been laid before them.
Powerful testimonials from those we just featured. And we're just getting started. The years that it has taken Tacoma to authentically partner is just becoming normalized. Collaboration across systems and sectors is deepening, and the alignment of resources that serves more students is scaling, reaching students that have often been overlooked or passed up. This is the power of Graduate Tacoma and the Graduate Tacoma movement. And with your help, we hope to establish the right fit, measurable indicators that will hold us all accountable for achieving the newly established 2030 community-wide goal. In partner with many sector leaders, CAN partners, youth, young adults, residents, and parents alike, we believe that by 2030, 70% of Tacoma Public School students will earn a degree, technical certificate, or gain a good earning wage employment opportunity within 6 years of high school graduation. And targeted efforts will focus on students of color and those impacted by poverty. And what we know is that success will require meaningful cross-collaboration and alignment, data sharing and accountability, targeted resourcing, advocating for racially just practices, and maintaining progress on all indicators, cradle to career. And that's where we need your help. How we work together over the next decade to collectively advance our efforts to support every child succeed in school, career, and life requires meaningful input from each of you. To that end, we ask that you help us over the coming months by informing the indicator establishment process. You can do so by completing the 2030 Indicator Establishment Survey that you will receive shortly following this session. But this alone is not enough. Leveraging self as an agent of change and critically assessing how you are either disrupting or upholding inequities in our system is also the call to action. I hope from this week's conference you feel compelled to lead courageously and unapologetically. What does this look like, you might wonder? Consider how you're making decisions. Consider who sits at your tables and how they were brought into the process. Consider what your hiring practices consist of. Do you continue to attract and hire the same type of people that already make up your organization? Perhaps it's time to interrogate your recruitment and hiring practices. Consider who your clients are and assess if your staff reflect them in their experiences and in their race and ethnicity. If not, I encourage you to do something courageous about it. Create policies that last beyond your tenure. Document your efforts and approve upon them every chance you get. As you begin to change your practices and policies, the cultural behaviors for which have been upheld in systems for far too long will begin to change. And as change agents, you will begin to redress past negative practices that have caused harm for too many for too long. This is our hope for the next decade. We hope you will continue with us on this journey and commit yourself as an agent of change boldly and courageously. As I begin to wrap up our first ever learning conference, I'd like to leave you with an inviting sound and motivating words from our partners who make up the Graduate Tacoma movement. But first, please keep an eye out for a few surveys. One that will help us establish the indicators for the 2030 goal you just heard about, and one that will be a post-event survey. Let us know how we did. Your voice really matters. Download and share resources from this week's conference. And if you haven't already, donate to the movement. Every little bit counts. Finally, summer is fastly approaching. Help youth get connected to summer programs throughout our community by visiting www.tacomalearns.org. To that end, thank you all for your investment of time and resource this week, and for lending your voice and perspective to the conversation. Thank you to every presenter, facilitator, and keynote speaker. On behalf of the entire staff of the Foundation for Tacoma Students and our board of directors, we thank you humbly for joining this year's Charting Our Future conference, a look at race, justice, and the education system. We'll see you all again this time next year, April 5th through the 7th, 2022. But for now, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage a musical performance by Graduate Tacoma partners and longtime youth advocates. They are The Movement.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know you've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Hey, Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer. Only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Hey, picket lines, sister, and picket signs, sister. Don't punish me, sister, with brutality, sister. Come talk to me, sister, so you can see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Ay, 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 ay. Everybody thinks we're wrong. Whoa, but who are they to judge us? Simply 'cause our hair is long. You know, we've got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Hey, picket line, brother, and picket sign, brother. Don't punish me, brother, with brutality. Brother, come on and talk to me, brother, so you can see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay.
Handful of
Let's go cruising through the park. Cruising after dark. Let's go out. Oh, baby. Slow it down to drive. Roll that windless drive. Let's go out. ¿Quieres saber un secreto que nadie en el mundo sabe? Todo lo que quieres está aquí. Take my money, no lo necesito. Libres y solitos. El cielo y el amor son infinitos en mi paraíso. Abro mis table about to turn. The table about to turn. The table about to turn. Yeah. I've been flipping through my timeline, trying to get my mind right. My city cried out. I got to cool down, but I'm under pressure. Cooking with my Crisco. Look at what my fist go. A renegade when I'm in a rage. I got to cool down, but I'm under pressure. I keep my hands dirty, my mind clean. Got a new agenda with a new dream. I'm kicking out the old regime. Liberation, elevation, education. America, you a lie, but the whole world about to testify. I said the whole world about to testify. And the table's about to, the table's about to turn. The kitchen, then you should do the dishes. Burning down plantations. Ain't no parking, I don't need no validation. I light sage when I'm in a rage. I don't need permission, I got my intuition. Hands dirty, mind clean. A different vision with a new dream. We kicking out the old regime. Liberation, elevation, education. I said America, use a lie, but the whole world about to testify. I said the whole world about to testify. We gon' watch the table. Now we gon' watch the table. Turn, turn. The table got to. That's right. Turn, turn. It's got to. Turn. Waited too long, you gotta turn. Just turn. Said the table got to. We see it all now. Turn. Said the table got to turn. Yeah. Turn. This road is gonna take us back now. You look so fine.